How's it going, friends and family? My name is Amos, and don't get me wrong, I love investing in growth stocks as much as the next guy. But I love reliable, cash producing business operations even more. To me, the ultimate retirement strategy is not just watching my portfolio value go up. Rather, it's owning assets that generate growing streams of passive income year after year, hence dividend growth investing. Yet, if you listen to the vocal majority online, especially to the boggleheads or to the conventional 4% a year FIRE community, they would say that dividends are completely pointless, irrelevant, disgusting, get it away from my face. Now, I've spent a lot of time on this channel breaking down why I believe that logic is flawed, but today we are going to put the theories aside. Instead, I'm going to show you exactly how I think about income investing using simple, real-world examples that anyone can understand. You don't even need a high school diploma, let alone a college degree to get my drift. But before we jump into the first example, I want to establish the framework, one thing that I think all of us can agree on. Number one, I'm ugly as heck. Okay, get that out of the way. And by the way, I lied. I decided to film one more video before hopping on the plane. That work ethic, you can't deny it. But number two, when you buy a stock, you are buying a small ownership stake in a real business. A business with physical buildings, actual employees, real customers, and products or services being sold every single day. Can we agree upon that? Buying a stock means buying into an asset. Okay? Example number one. Stocks that compound and dividends, please. Welcome to investing with a side of cheese, where balance sheets matter and cash flows get fatter. But hey, I'm not a financial advisor. Think of your stocks, your brokerage account, your portfolio like it's a farm. Over time, you build up productive assets. Chickens that lay eggs, cows that give milk, apple trees, mango trees that grow fruit, and fields that produce crops. The goal is to own a farm that produces an abundant harvest year after year. Yet, conventional investing wisdom often tells us something different, right? Instead of living off the land, the eggs, the fruit, the crops that the farm produces, we're told to sell off a small piece of the farm each year to create a synthetic dividend, to generate income. Friends and family, to me, that's just absolutely backwards. If an apple tree is producing apples, why would I chop it down, cut off the branches to create cash flow? I'd rather enjoy the harvest and keep the tree intact. Why get rid of the chicken that's giving me the eggs? Why eat the chicken when I can just eat the eggs the chicken gives me? Eventually, I'll eat the chicken. Fun fact, I'm allergic to chicken, so maybe I should use another example. So forget what I said about the chickens. The point still stands, but cows and the milk. Or better yet, here's another example. Imagine you own a private toll road, a section of the highway that belongs to you. It's private. Like they do here in Japan, cars have to pay to access the highways. It's crazy. Now, as a business owner, you run the operations in order to make money. So you have two options to get paid. Option one, on the left side, you sit back and you collect money as customers drive through your toll road and they pay their tolls. Friends and family, that's your dividend income pouring in. Option number two, what you see on the right side of your screen, instead of living off the tolls, you sell a small piece of the road every year to generate cash. That's equivalent to selling shares from your portfolio and spending down your principal. Look, both approaches can put money in your pocket. Both of them will create cash flow. The difference is that one method pays you from the cash the asset produces, while the other pays you by gradually giving up ownership of the asset itself. Does that make sense? Now here's example number three. Let's say that you spent years building a portfolio that accumulated into 4 physical real estate rental properties. So hypothetically, you have tenants that live in your rental properties that pay you rent, and that rent money shows up in your bank account. Those properties are doing exactly what you bought them to do, which is to produce income. Now imagine you need cash because you're in your retirement. Would you rather collect the rent checks from those properties, from the tenants, on the left side of your screen depicted, or on the right side, would you rather put one of the houses up for sale each year and slowly shrink your portfolio from 4 properties down to 3, down to 2, and by the end of it, you'll only have 1 home, and then you have to sell that as well to create your income? Most real estate investors would probably prefer to keep the properties and live off the rental income, like the left side. Yet, when it comes to stocks, many investors are told the ideal strategy is to regularly sell pieces of your portfolio every quarter or annually instead of focusing on the cash flow that your assets generate. Your assets being the stocks, your shares, ownership of a business. There's a dozen different reasons as to why I choose to do dividend investing. And maybe that's a video for another day. But one reason I do dividend investing is because when you think about it, especially for us Americans, we put in 8 to 12 to 16 hours a day at work. For our European friends, maybe not so much, okay? And once we get home, we get maybe what? 1 to 2 hours to do whatever we want, baking in the time allocated to chores, errands, washing up, and everything else. And for some of us, our personality and identity is aligned with our career field. We love what we do, whatever. But for the most of us, putting in 50, 60, 70 hours a week at work and being left with what? Because usually Saturday we got to use to rest. And then Sunday's the day we get up and do all the errands and chores. And then it's Monday morning, right back again. With dividends and passive income generated from dividend-paying stocks, work eventually becomes optional. And don't even get me started on the age of retirement. There are some lawmakers and policymakers here in the US that want to push it back to 70, 72 to finally retire so that you can tap into your 401k without consequences. I fundamentally disagree with that. If anything, I feel like the retirement age should be reduced down to like 55, 54. Working after the age of 65, it's not necessarily a bad thing, okay? So there's some studies that show being active physically and mentally is correlated with a longer, happier life. So it can be beneficial depending on the circumstance, especially if you're one of the individuals where if there's no cadence, schedule, logistics, or reoccurring events daily, you let yourself go and you jump down the politics scene and you start drinking all the time. No bueno. So if that keeps you out of trouble, then showing up to a job and getting a W-2 paycheck is probably the best for everyone involved. On the other hand, being forced to work after 65 out of necessity because you didn't save up for retirement, that's a real concern. So I'd much rather stay active and fit through my hobbies in retirement instead of relying on a stressful job to do that for me. And I think everyone can agree upon that, right? Those of you that are going to sell your stocks to generate 4% income per year, dividend income investors, I think we can all agree upon that. And that's why I think investing in stocks in general and producing passive income is so important for everyone. Because by putting a little money away today to compound for you decades later, you'll be glad that you did. Think about it. If it's a hot, sunny, humid day in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas, but you're able to find a tree and sit in the shade, it's because you planted that seed yesterday. It was able to sprout and turn into a beautiful tree with branches with leaves that give you some coverage, right? Just like with stocks, just like with investing, just like with thinking about your retirement. And that's why I see a dividend portfolio as more than just income, right? It's an added measure of security, a form of insurance in case things go south. Because for most of us, we're going to get Social Security benefits, and that's going to help bridge the gap for our living expenses when we're like 71, 74. But regardless, with dividend investing, if you don't necessarily need the dividends right now because you're 31 or 41, you can utilize those dividends to buy more shares of a good stock that's on your watch list that's on sale. You don't have to just use your own cash from your bank account. You can use those distributions to buy more shares. So you're winning in good times and in bad times. You have an asset that can help pay your bills until you're back on your feet if things go south. So I'll leave you with this. When you reframe dividends are useless as income is useless, it just doesn't carry the same weight. Dividends are income. And look, I hope you're paying attention. Dividends are a result of the business executing and the operations thriving. Stock prices are a result of the market. There's plenty of examples of tickers where they just go to the moon predicated upon narrative, hype, short squeezes, and everything else. A great business led by strong management sets a dividend it can sustain for the foreseeable future. So don't talk to me about how dividends aren't guaranteed. Less than 1% to 2% of dividend-paying stocks cut their dividend per year, and during a catastrophic event like the pandemic, 15% of the companies cut their dividends, meaning the other 85% of the companies maintained or grew their dividends even during the most volatile, stressful periods in the stock market. So these companies, they keep paying that dividend even when times get tough because they're disciplined with their capital allocation. They're not just burning their cash on random R&D projects. Whereas the market, on the other hand, it can be overly pessimistic for a really, really long time. For some of you that only got into investing in the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you've only experienced a bull market. Yes, there were some corrections here and there, but if you look at the lost decade from the year 2000 to 2009, the Great Financial Recession, the S&P 500 literally had zero price appreciation. That's for 10 years. Your portfolio would have been flat. And usually when the market stays down like that, it's because the real world is hurting. People are losing their jobs and businesses are going under. They're going belly up. So if your returns are completely dependent on stock prices, answer this question with an honest face and a genuine heart. Could you really handle seeing your portfolio cut in half during a time of widespread layoffs? Can you? Most people overestimate their risk tolerance. And I promise I'll leave you with this because I really do got to get back to packing and verifying my inventory to make sure everything's good to go. At the end of the day, price appreciation of a stock, your portfolio, is always going to be more speculative than dividend income because one has a schedule way in advance, whereas the other requires a crystal ball. We don't know if stocks are going to go up 10%, 20%, or even down 15%. But dividend-paying stocks and their schedule and the frequency, we already know in advance. And my whole thing is, why not both, right? I do a little bit of both. I do growth investing, I invest in dividend stocks, and I just see merit and value add from all schools of investing. I don't know why we have to be so polarized and hate each other. Why not cherry pick the best practices from all different approaches so that we can have the most optimized portfolio? That's just me. What do you guys think? I gotta go. I love you. Stay safe. Good luck in the stock market. By the time you watch this video, I'll be in the US, even though this video was physically filmed here in Japan. Anyways, see you guys.